Thank you for logging in to IntellectualRadio.com. We're here with LOL with Nikki, and as usual, I have fabulous guests that I would make you late. And you are listening to Marissa by Machine. If you ever heard of that song, That Before the Grace of God, you will know who this group is. Check them out. Love this song, Marissa. They're bringing it back. So look them up and enjoy the music. Oh my goodness, yet another week. I cannot tell you how many fabulous things have happened. I know I told you guys about a young boy who happens to be my cousin's son last year named Kevin Washington, who went to state freshman year for wrestling. Well, guess what? Sophomore year, he ranks third in state as a sophomore in wrestling. Congrats to you, proud mama Colleen. I know you are just like over the moon right now. So I am so thrilled. My daughter is home back here, and she's got actually a painting that might be going for sale. Her first painting that might be actually sold. Like people are bidding on it right now as we speak. So yes, proud mama, I do have to tell that. But the reason why I'm telling you all of this is there's so much sadness in the news today of our youth and everything that's going on. But yet these positive stories you never hear. I think we all need to do what I always say every week. Things start at home. Encourage your children. Whatever positive things that they've got going on in their life, whether you may like it or not, encourage that. Nurture that. We need to have more positive stories. We need to see that our kids are succeeding and that their parents are backing them. Because if you don't start it at home and they don't invest in themselves, they will not know where to turn or how to take a positive road. So please take a moment, simmer on that. We're going to go to our commercials, and then I'm going to tell you who these fabulous, gorgeous people are that are in my studio. Ha! You're going to have to wait. So thanks for tuning in to LOL with Miss Nikki here at IntellectualRadio.com.
Turn it up. Antiqua. The company that knows how to party. Every event, from weddings to birthdays, we have the DJs and MCs to rock your crowd. We have the sound and light show to make it huge. And we have the talent and experience to always get it right. We are the party experts.
You already know.
Hit them with it.
Antiqua Entertainment.
Get your insurance policy reviewed. The ladies at American Family Insurance will review and explain policy coverages, limits, and what they mean, so you can be sure you are properly protected exactly as you like and need. The Anna Heron Bassick Agency has been awarded year after year for providing excellent customer service, whether it's auto, motorcycles, or life and home. Anna's agency deals with them all. Call Anna or Justina today for your free insurance review at 773-794-9200. That's 773-794-9200. Like them on Facebook at facebook.com AH Agency. They speak English, Spanish, and Croatian.
The weekend is near. Your event is around the corner. You need to look your best. Let Marquin Salon help you look good. They create everyday art with their clients' hair. Located at 2157 West Division Street on the southeast corner of Levitt and Division by St. Mary's Hospital. Marquin Salon is open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and they are closed on Saturdays. Marquin Salon, where first-time customers get 25% off of all services. Like them on Facebook, facebook.com/Marquin Salon, MarquinSalon. Follow Marquin Salon on Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. To make an appointment, call 773-782-8477. That's 773-782-8477. For questions and info, you can email Marquin Salon at marquinsalon@gmail.com.
Are you looking for cosmetic or reconstructive plastic surgery? Dr. Clark Shirla is a board-certified Chicago plastic surgeon and has worked with surgeons from Northwestern Memorial Hospital, Children's Memorial Hospital, and many others. Contact Northwestern Specialist in Plastic Surgery today and schedule an appointment to see Dr. Shirla about rediscovering your inner beauty and realizing the personal image you have always desired. Call them now at 312-266-6240. That's right, 312-266-6240. Or you can check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/Chicago Plastics.
Your wedding day, a day that you've envisioned in your mind since you were a child, and now that it's becoming a reality, don't risk your once-in-a-lifetime event to a once-in-a-while amateur you found on Craigslist. The entertainment you choose for your special day can either make or break your celebration. You can never redo your wedding, but you can avoid a costly mistake by hiring a true professional. We make every wedding unforgettable. Welcome to Batiqua Entertainment.
And you're back with LOL, Miss Nikki here at IntellectualRadio.com. Did I just say that right? Oh my God, I always screw up something once a week. IntellectualRadio.com. Okay, you just heard who my sponsors are. You may need insurance, so check out AmFam with the girls at the Anna Haram Bazik office. Their agency does everything from motorcycles to life. Take care of yourselves. Income tax came back. Take a little extra money. Think about something you may need, whether it's renters, home, motorcycle. Do something with it. Also, you may want to, get a new haircut. Try a new look. Check out my guy, Montgomery Martha at Marquin Salon. Also, whatever kind of party you may need, and you need some music, you need a great, fantastic DJ, you need sounds, you need lighting, contact Batiqua Entertainment. All these people are on Facebook. Also, my guys at the Northwestern Plastic Surgeons office, they have their medical spa. Check out Dr. Pat Sherla and their menu of all the wonderful things, because now that winter's over, you got to take care of that skin. Get ready for summer. Check out their menu and get a spa day. So, I know you're dying to see who's here in studio. This is Tom Bell from the Tomfoolery Club and Michelle Piscal. I always say it wrong. That's why I'm going to let you do it, because I always screw up a name. I screw up my own name half the time. But I'm so glad to have Indiana here in Chicago.
We're so glad to be here, Nikki.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you so much for
guys
having
are
us.
fresh in radio, too.
Yes.
Burn this.
Well, I'm going to let Michelle kind of take over. She's a podcast guru-ess, if you will.
Yes, well, we started 2 years ago. We just had our second anniversary.
Oh, congrats.
And we had started a comedy-based variety show.
Wow.
And so we did that, did a lot of online marketing with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And then we just started getting into, we had gone on the radio and we saw that they turned it into a podcast right after we had gotten off. So I kind of did some background magic, and then we kind of started our own podcast now.
That is so fantastic. Yeah. Now, out of curiosity, were either one of you ever in comedy yourselves, or in stand-up, or any kind of improv? Or
No. My background is in pharmaceutical sales.
No way.
Yeah, absolutely. I spent a career in that.
20 years in healthcare over here.
20 plus. Okay, there you go. And Michelle is in education.
Wow.
So sometimes that's comedic.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, it writes itself, I'm sure. What level of education?
Pre-K through 6th grade.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you drink lunch, don't you?
Yeah.
Those hormone changes around 6th grade.
Oh, yes.
You go from cute to they're bouncing off the walls.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
My gosh.
So 2 years ago, born out of necessity, we came up with the concept for the Tomfoolery Show for two reasons, really. One, I needed a job. Because I had left my job in the pharmaceutical industry. I took an early retirement, which what that really means is you don't have enough money to really retire. Okay? And it was unceremoniously retired.
No watch,
I was
nothing.
let go. No, I didn't. Downsized, as they called it. But you still get a little bit of a package, if you will, but not enough to say, okay, I'm totally relaxed.
Sure.
Not that I wanted to do that anyway. So that was one reason, and the second reason, we needed something to do. We were
Right.
Well, you could tell that story.
We were sitting at one of our favorite watering holes, Rodney's Pizzeria, Lango's Sports Bar, and they have numerous TVs on the wall, and everything we were watching were like replays from like 2012, 2013 baseball games, and we already knew who the winner of the game was. It was like, oh my God, are we really sitting here watching all this stuff on TV? What could we be doing? I'm sure something better. And so then I looked at Tom and I said, Tom, so what do you want to do when you grow up? and then he's like, well, I always wanted to kind of have a comedy show, run a comedy show. And I said, well, then why are we doing it? and then we just started after that, and it snowballed.
Wow, look at
And
that.
tell them about how we got the room. And
Well, we did it at Roddy's, which is, again, that's our
Okay.
sort of our spot. And we went to Roddy and said, hey, we want to do a show in your back room. Well, what do you think? And he asked me, well, what do you know about doing comedy shows? And I said, absolutely nothing, other than the fact I've been watching TV for 50 years. And if I don't know what funny is by now, I'll never know. So we just decided to go off, and I had known a few people that did improv comedy.
Okay.
So we asked their group to come in and perform, and through referrals more than anything else, we filled in a couple of other stand-up comedians, and
That's awesome.
found a local band, and we structured it in a way that kind of was reminiscent of TV shows from when I grew up. You know, the Carol Burnett Show, and
Johnny
Carson,
Carson.
Dean Martin Show.
Right.
So a little something for everyone, and we tried to keep the comedy basically clean,
Sure.
maybe a little off color, a little edgy, but nothing
Over the
to
top.
offend anyone.
Right. Mhm.
We tailored it for maybe a 30, 35 and up audience. And the first two shows, actually we did 2 shows in the first night because the first show sold out so quickly.
Wow.
Yeah, so we added a second
We
show.
did that show again right after. We started like 8 o'clock with the first one, and I think the second started at like 10:15.
Wow.
Yeah, so we thought this is kind of fun. You know, it's cool.
That is
so
awesome.
since then we've done, I think we just tallied them up at 37.
37. We just had our 37th
Since,
show Friday.
Wow.
March
oh my
of 2014. And we like to think we're picking up some traction. Our audiences are growing. We're still searching for that perfect venue. We kind of move it around a little bit, like the circus. You know, we go from banquet hall to restaurant to wherever.
I find it amazing because you must have felt like after that first night, like we found what we were meant to do.
Honestly, we thought this
Right.
was going to be so easy, especially since we sold out this first show. The first,
Right, we're like,
we
oh
just
my
thought the
God.
money is going to come out of the skies.
We're
gonna be
onto
so
honeymoon
rich. Well,
we could be millionaires.
well, then reality kind of set in because once we got the receipts for everything that we had spent on equipment, lights, and sound, and it wasn't-
Advertising.
it wasn't
Right.
quite as lucrative as we would have hoped, and that first year was somewhat
Right.
challenging because as we branched out a little bit, we found ourselves just giving tickets away to shows just to get people to come out, especially in those warm weather months.
It's hard to build a fan base, and that's
Right.
a
It takes a
steady
while.
fan
Mhm.
base. Like I'm always amazed at people who like, oh, I never miss a so and so. I'm like, really? Like, how
Right.
do I,
We do have some repeat offenders. They do come back, and some have already come to 5, 6, 7, 8 shows.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
So we like to see them.
And Indiana's a little different. I mean, in the city, for example, you could walk down the street and find 4 or 5 comedy clubs.
Really?
Whereas in in Chicago,
Uh-huh.
but in Indiana, it's kind of a novelty. People
Okay.
aren't quite sure. Well, what is this tomfoolery fun club? What is this about? And maybe a little bit of a skepticism.
Mhm.
But once people come and they find out what the show's about and they enjoy themselves, and they kind of tell their friends. And,
Right.
So for people that I know that are fans that watch me who are comedians, how do you book your comedians? Like, what do you look for? Because I think being as a comedian myself, and I started a different way. I actually started with stage time. I didn't start, like in open mics. That
Mhm.
was a whole, like my first open mic, I was like, where's the green room and where do I give the DJ my music? And they're like, no, honey, we need to talk.
Right.
It's like I built my own show because of what comedians
Mhm.
had told me their complaints were about going to an open mic or a showcase.
Right.
But when you're trying to actually get on a show, something like what you produce, what is it? Are you looking at time? Are you looking at the cleanliness that they can do? What are the factors?
I'd have to say cleanliness is probably the first factor that we look at.
Well, we don't want to sound like prudes about it, but
No.
again, our audience it's slightly old, and we like to challenge the audience in
Sure.
a way, in a positive, productive
And
way.
creative. Be creative. Don't just throw dirty jokes out there because that's the first thing
Right.
that
We
can
want
come
the
to your
audience
mind.
laughing because it's really funny, not because they're nervous or
Mhm.
they're just maybe not quite comfortable with the material. We find that people sometimes laugh at humor that maybe really is. It's just a natural response to make some sort of laughter sound when
Right.
you're nervous.
And we, have had our parents at the shows, and if my dad comes to a show and it's just too blue, I mean, I'm going to get like 10
Right.
Hail Marys after
My
the show.
mom too. Right. In fact, the last show that we did, my mom was there, and my 2 daughters, who they're both in their 20s, were there,
Mhm.
and that's what we wanted. We want something that
Sure.
the whole family,
Mhm.
more 18 and up, really. We don't want a bunch of little kids running around
No,
because people go out to get away from their kids. So we want it to be challenging humor, but clever, creative, a little edgy, off color is okay, but nothing too graphic. We
Yeah,
try to
because
stay away from
different
that.
places will allow you
Right.
different freedoms, and That's the thing, sometimes like, oh, I got booked for this show. Like, and it's somebody, thank God, will give you a piece of advice, I hope, and tell the comedian, like, by the way.
and we do screen them. A lot of times it's word of mouth, so different comedians that we've already used will give us names, and then we always see a YouTube video or we go to see them in person. We've, I think, had very few that we've not seen ahead of time, and we only had one major faux pas. He didn't read the memo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which was a little embarrassing, but that's okay. We lived and learned. But if anybody wanted to be on our show, just give me a call or check me out on Facebook or email tomfooleryfunclub@gmail.com and send me a YouTube, and or just let us know if you're performing out somewhere, and we'll try to get out and see you.
Yeah, I was actually at Jalapenos last weekend. I was out that way, and it was a really cool time. It was crazy because, funny story, I was not on the flyer. I was added last minute. I beat the comedians out there because of the whole Trump thing that was going on, like the protest.
City, right.
So, I'm telling my husband, we got to leave like 3 hours early because God forbid, So we get out there. I beat everybody.
Okay.
The person I'm supposed to meet, his kid ends up in the ER. So I got nobody waiting for me or anybody there knowing that I'm coming to perform.
Okay.
So I walk in and I tell the guy, like, I'm here for the show. And everybody's like, who is she? Like, is she crazy? Like,
okay.
So I'm like, well, can I take a seat? So like, I just don't want to take up your seat. I know you got people waiting in line for food. I mean, it was hilarious. The poor guys, I start texting them like, where are you? Oh my God, I'm here by myself. People think I'm nuts. They're like, are you in Sherville? And I was like, am I in the right place? Then I start freaking.
You were right.
It was an amazing room. That crowd came to see comedy.
Good.
I mean, thank God it was like a huge faux pas, but it was okay. We worked it out. But that audience was amazing. And actually, a gentleman that you were trying to book, Rob Celestin.
Yeah.
Robbie
Celestin, yeah.
He had just performed there. So I was like, oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
You kept it warm for me. Thank you. It
Yes,
was
he did.
really nice. I loved it out there. Actually, the banquet hall you had us at was really nice when I came
That
out
was
to
the
perform.
Patrician Banquet Hall. That was a great room.
Yes, it was.
We had a
Really
nice
good
audience
show.
for that.
Yeah.
So
I had a fantastic
we're happy to
time.
be there.
Fantastic time. And I see you had a show last night. You had my girl Soli Santos and a whole bunch
Yes,
of
We
people out.
did Friday night. Where were
Friday
we Friday night? We were at
I know.
where we were. See, that's the problem with not having a home. We're kind of moving all over the place.
Right. We were at
Halls of St. George.
Halls of St. George. It was a new
in
venue.
Sheriff, which is
That was
also
our
wow,
first time
okay.
it
there.
was a fundraiser for Meals on Wheels in
Nice.
Northwest Indiana. So we helped raise a little money for them and awareness.
Yes.
But we had a terrific show. Again, we have a different show every time. Our comedians and musicians, we try to mix them up a little bit.
Right.
The ladies' night must have been amazing.
Oh, it was
They
awesome,
had
yeah.
fantastic women on here. I've worked with these girls. Mona, Marcy, Gia Claire, Soli Santos, amazing.
Mhm.
It was amazing. We had that show a couple months ago, and it was just so amazing that we thought, why didn't we record this? Oh my God, we should have videotaped this. We have to do this again. And so we did. We did it again a second time. We had a videographer, and we did it because we said we want to capture that. It was so funny. We just want
That is
to
so
watch it
cool.
again and again.
The Five the Hard Way. Now, how'd you come up with that title? This is so cute. I love this.
Okay.
It's
well,
like the Rat Pack.
Right.
That brings me
that's the
back to
idea.
Vegas.
Well, Vince Acevedo, who's sort of the ringleader behind Five the Hard Way, he'd been actually we had worked with pretty much all of those comedians. Lucky Luciano, Mickey Housley, at one point in time or another. But we were looking to put together a special event, and I called Vince. I said, Vince, what do you think you could do for us? And he said, I've been working on this new ensemble comedy team, and we called Five the Hard Way. We haven't debuted it yet, but if you like, we could debut it at your event in Indiana, which they did. Right. And it was a little different for us because we have kind of a set format in our shows. Typically we have music to start off, live music with live, bands, and then we'll go to comedy, and then we alternate back and forth between comedy and music. With this, it was a little different because it was pretty much a straight comedy show, a little bit of music in between as comedians were coming out. But, it was a little different for us, and well, I don't know. I mean, I like both ways, to be quite honest with you. It was
I love the concept.
Show.
I loved it when I came out and worked with you guys to hear the music. It's like sets the tone.
Well, it gives people a chance to get up and move.
Sure.
I think the venues like it because people can go to the bar and get more drinks, order more food.
Right.
And to be honest with you, it's difficult for me to sit for 2 hours and just go to a show and just sit there and watch comedy for 2 straight hours. Most of the comedians that we go to see are very talented. Still, by the 5th or 6th comedian, sometimes you think, gosh, I gotta go to the bathroom.
I need to stretch my
legs. Get up and go, man.
I get a leg cramp, but
that was kind of the idea behind having music in between comedy. That way, you get up and use the restroom or walk around, visit with your neighbor, go to the bar.
That's so smart.
And it keeps everybody engaged in in the process, so that it doesn't seem like it's a 2-hour show.
Exactly.
Like what
It really
we're talking
seemed to
about,
fly by.
right?
It does. It really did that night that I was there.
It goes by very quickly.
It does. But yeah, no, the guys actually, I've hosted a few shows with Vince, with these guys, actually with Lucky, with Manny, and I've had the pleasure of working with Vicky Housley. These guys are awesome.
They're awesome.
They're terrific. Honestly, I always tell these guys, you guys are going to be on TV within the next 2 years. And I told the audience, I said, you know what?
Get your autographs now.
Get your autographs. You just pay
Get the
$20, $25 to see this show. You're going to pay $100 or more to see this same show in Las Vegas in a year or
Well,
two.
when I've worked with Vince, Lucky, and Manny, I tell you, it is like, I feel like I'm Lucille Ball with the guys, because it's just, there was one, I don't know how it happened. I was bringing up Lucky to the stage, and I went to hug him to give him the mic, and before I know it, we're like slow dancing on the stage. It turned into like this Carol Burnett sketch. I'm like, is your wife here? He's like, no. I'm like, good. My husband's not here either. Okay. Yeah, like, you smell wonderful. Is that cotton? What is that? Like,
well, they're genuinely
I mean,
nice
we
guys.
So nice, yeah.
we have like the best time together. But they have a chemistry.
They
really do.
and
These guys.
Steve Rinaldi, he's the fifth edition.
A new edition.
And he's a riot too. So they really get along with each other, and we love that in our shows too. In fact, we kind of pride ourselves on when we do a show that we like to invite everybody up at the end to take a final bow and just try to make everybody feel comfortable and feel at home.
Sure.
And you find yourself kind of falling in love with these people over certain, at a certain point in time. The more they come back to our shows, you think, she's kind of family, or he's family.
The connection.
Right.
Exactly.
We're really, really blessed to have people that are good people that come out and they're in the shows and they come back again and again. And, then we go out to support them at other venues when they have shows in different places. We'll drive to go see different people at different times just because we want to support them.
That's so awesome, because I tell you, it is so hard. There's so many things going on all the time, especially in Chicago.
Right.
Everybody's trying to get to this show, or, oh my God, somebody's coming to town. I want to see this show. It's crazy. When I tried to run a room, and I say tried, I did it after my first 6 times doing comedy. I was blessed that I had friends who were doing DJ work at a bar. They had all 4 weekends, and they didn't know what to do with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, give me every other to do a show. I booked like all the way to November. It was crazy. I booked like 6 months out. I learned really hard. A lot of people will not show up and not tell you. I learned really hard that, sometimes you think you're going to have 6 people and you end up with 4. It gets a little hairy.
Right.
Then what the big surprise was, the bar sold and didn't tell me. So,
oh, no.
Yeah. And then it was, they want to keep it. They kept one show, and then I was canceled. So I had to call everybody, like, find new gigs.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh my God, nobody will ever speak to me again in this community. And thank God they actually have followed me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if I say, hey, I got a gig, I can bring you with me, and they'll come,
Right.
So I'm like, huh. But yeah, I can't imagine what you guys go through. I can't.
Sometimes it gets a little obsessive when we're looking at, because we do a lot of our pre-ticket sales online through Eventbrite, and so we're like, how many? Okay, we're on. Okay, whew, okay.
You check this Eventbrite site once an hour.
Sure.
To see, did we sell any? And it's always the same thing. The few weeks beforehand, you may sell a handful, and then typically the day or two before the show, then you really start to see these sales ring up, and then, okay, this is good. We're gonna have a nice audience, because we put so much work into these shows. And in fact, early on when we did some shows, our audiences weren't anywhere near desirable, 30, 40 people or whatever.
Sure.
But the shows were so good, and we'd drive home thinking, people around here must be crazy. You never get a show like this for $20.
Right.
So finally, after the first year, then the audience size started to increase to where now we're, maybe depending on where we play. If we play back at Langle's, has a capacity of 80, and
we
we'll
usually sell that room out.
Some of the others, 100, 150.
Now, where are you guys from originally in Indiana? Because you guys go all over the place.
Right. We actually both live in Hammond, Indiana.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because so you find these places by just calling around, or
going, checking them out, looking to see if there's room and space that we kind of think will fit what we like, and is it a separate room? Because we realized we couldn't do something in an open bar setting because the extra noise is just too much. We lived and learned on that one.
Right. Yeah. And we do, when we go into a banquet hall, for example, we pretty much just take it and make it our own. You guys really did the bring in a curtain backdrop and lights and sound, and it's maybe a 2-day process to go in there and set it up.
No, you guys really do it on a high end, because, like I said, I was doing it out of a bar just because. But Vince and I did an event one time, and he gave me my first baby with him at a restaurant, and restaurant's gone now, but they changed the date on me, and I don't know, for whatever reason they forgot when we booked. but they switched me to Mother's Day. Do you know what it's like trying to get people in a bar on Mother's Day?
Yeah.
I had better luck dragging people out of a cemetery. Oh my God, it was horrible. Nobody showed up, but I had pre-sold tickets. And I think only one person asked me for a refund. And I literally sold about $600 worth of tickets. And if 10 people showed, it was much.
Oh, wow.
If I had 10 to 20 in the audience, literally, I was talking to a whole lot of chairs.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it was crazy that they paid and supported, but didn't show.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes that happens. We get sometimes some people who, we get a printout of who bought and who's coming. And then, after we'll check and we'll realize, so it didn't come after all.
Right. Well, we're, to that point, though, when we set up these events, we take a look at the calendar. We see what else is going. It's Super Bowl weekend? No.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah.
Mother's Day, Easter, Good Friday.
NCAA.
And when the date came
basketball,
around, I called Vince. I was like, this is Mother's Day. He's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, do you know a magician? What are we going to do?
Right.
Like we do. We know a magician.
Yeah, we had a magician in our show Friday night.
Oh, that is cool.
James said, he's a
Magical
comedic
comedy.
magician and absolutely amazing. He's a funny guy. He's, I think he was trained at Second City, but he does all the tricks. He's got things going on. He's
No way.
eggs are dropping out of the sky in a paper bag, and absolute riot.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we've had musical comedy, magic,
sketch comedy,
some improv. Like the show you were in, we had an improv troupe that.
Yes, they were amazing.
Yeah.
I love them. They were awesome. I was so mad. I wanted to come back to see their show, but we just weren't able to get back out there. And I was just like, I gotta follow those guys. They were really good.
So that's the idea, is to just have different types of comedy, not just stand up. Although we love stand up comedy, to mix it up a little bit and put in different types of music.
Give some variety.
In fact, we had jazz the night.
I love that you do it a variety show style, because when I tell people about like variety shows, I feel like I'm saying back in my day, vaudeville. It's like because nobody gets it anymore. Like we grew up on Cabernet, so there was always some kind of variety show, and like Saturday Night Live was the late night. It was a little edgier, but during the day you had
That's right. And if
multiple things.
if what you were watching didn't really capture interest, you knew in the next 10 minutes or so something else is going to be coming on.
Absolutely. Even on radio, my mom and I, believe it or not, coming home from bingo, this is hilarious, about 10 o'clock at night, I would find on my AM station, because that's the only stereo I had in my car, was an AM radio, and we would listen to Jack Benny all the way home.
From bingo.
Yes. Right. And like we'd literally sit in the car, forget we're in front of the house, because we had to finish the show.
Right.
And that's why I love that you guys do something similar. So how, like, I know there's a lot of talent out in Indiana as well, but do you scout like national level? Are you guys thinking of
mostly? Well, we've done both. We've captured. Not sound like a snare. We snared you. Most of the comedians come from the city, although a few, from south suburbs, Northwest Indiana, but most from the city, and the musicians that we use are primarily from Northwest Indiana.
Right. But we did have a special show where we had the Ides of March.
Nice.
Right. So you want to tell them about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, that was the idea. We wanted to kind of branch out and keep growing. So we thought, let's just do a really big event and maybe try to find a band, maybe a more musically oriented event. So we started to think, well, what bands are locally based that everybody would know about? And the Ides of March with Jim Peterick, they're from Berwyn, just down the street from here.
Oh, okay.
They were big back in the late 60s, early 70s. They had that hit song Vehicle, you're familiar with? Ba-da-ba-ba-da, right? And, everybody knows. But Peterick also went on to later fame with the group Survivor.
Okay.
The
Eye of the
theme to
Tiger.
Rocky III, Eye of the Tiger.
Yes,
exactly right. And then they reformed the Ides whenever, 10, 15 years ago. So we thought, let's just get them. So I searched them out and looked up on online, their website, and called their agent, and we came to terms, and we had a show with them. And then Vince was also a warm-up comedian for them. As
nice.
Yes.
And it was fabulous. We had, about 300 people for the show, and it was really fun. And people walked out there thinking, this is so cool.
That is so awesome. Yeah. Now, if I got to ask, growing up, what comedians did you follow? Did you absolutely couldn't miss their show,
No, I watched a lot of Saturday Night Live with my aunts and uncles. I would stay at my grandmother's house a lot, and that's where I got to see the Johnny Carson and the Carol Burnett and Lawrence Welk and all those shows. It was not that I had any choice of what I watched watching, but it was fabulous, because now as I look back on it, I was like, wow, that was some good TV. And now even on Antenna TV, sometimes we watch Johnny Carson.
Tonight Show, Johnny Carson. That's what I grew up watching. Jackie Gleason.
Yes.
In fact, I used to watch the Jackie Gleason reruns of the Honeymooners when I was a little kid, and they were already 10 or 15 years old at that point in time. And Rodney Dangerfield and George Carlin.
He has such a story, Rodney Dangerfield. Like he left for many years and then to come back older.
Right.
Like it was
Exactly.
amazing, his
Right.
story. It's crazy.
So
like he
we like
didn't even
that,
recognize that he was a
yeah.
comedian in a way.
Right.
Just kind of like, well, I do this, but
And if
Right.
you remember watching him on the Tonight Show, for example, he'd come out and do 6 or 7 minutes of a routine, then he'd go sit on the couch and just continue on with the routine. He wasn't on there long, and that's kind of how we based our shows. Was we don't really want any comedian up there for more than maybe 15 minutes or so. We like to keep it moving, keep it fluid, and people seem to like that, right?
Right. And
I
then,
loved
like,
your audience. Your audience was absolutely fantastic. The people at the table, we talked with them and a couple other people that came over. And that's why I like being able to go to a show and people, get to interact with me
Sure.
after the show. That's like really awesome.
And I think that's what a lot of the people that come to our shows like about the shows, because the comedians stay around for a while and they even stay around to take pictures at the end and things like that. So the people will ask, oh, is so-and-so going to be back? Are they going to be, because they know that we kind of have a rotation of who we bring in. And so it's kind of building a really nice kind of closeness.
Because
Right.
your atmosphere, if nobody's ever told you any different, working in Chicago and you work on a stage or even a nightclub, a lot of people, and I try not to do this, I try not to have nothing booked after I'm somewhere. I like to stay and see the audience, meet new fans, hear some commentary, what have you. But a lot of people feel that if you're in a setting where it's like a theater stage thing, like they don't want to approach you after the show. Like they think that you're gone. They automatically assume you're gone. But if they see you in the crowd, it's almost like they're scared to come up to you. But your setting is so cool and laid back. It's like, I want to stick around and, meet everybody.
That's one of the best parts of our show. In fact, our show last Friday night, I looked out in the audience and saw the other comedians that had already performed, and they were sitting at a table and they were laughing, having a great time, enjoying the show.
Oh yeah,
it was really fun to see that.
That's the other thing. Usually we don't have a place after we perform to go hang out. Like they want you to wait till everybody's done, and then then you can go out and then work the room or whatever. But yeah, like I just did. It used to be Mojo's. It's called The Tree now in Joliet, and it's a bi-level nightclub. So I was hosting, so I couldn't like really be in the audience because I had to keep going back and forth. But by the time I get off, like everybody's trying to leave, I'm trying to leave. It's crazy because I'm like, I don't want to kind of hold people. It was a Sunday night. You gotta get home to the kids, And then my long drive back from Joliet is about a good hour and a half. So it was crazy. It was, like people would stop me, but I felt that I had my coat on. But I'm taking pictures of my coat, I'm like, thank you.
That's okay.
Yeah, but that's why I said, like, with you guys, I love the setup. And so if nobody's ever told you, it's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
I think it's
when we did
conducive.
the Hardway show a couple weeks ago, right after the show, it seemed like the whole audience just streamed right out of the showroom. And it kind of caught me by surprise. Like, wow, where did we go so fast? Usually they hang around, stick around a little bit. So I started to break down the equipment, and I was carrying some stuff out. I walked out into the lobby, and there was Vince and Lucky and Manny and Steve and Mickey. They were kind of holding court out in the lobby, and the whole audience was out in the lobby with them, and they were just talking. It was really kind of cool to see that. In fact, I got a few pictures of that.
That is really cool. That is really cool. Oh my goodness. Yes. But down the road, where do you see yourselves in, like, say 5-10 years? Like, are you taking the show like across the nation? Are you going to branch out?
Actually,
are you going to bring it to TV? Like,
everything is possible.
Anything is possible. Absolutely.
Everything
I'm
is
just curious to know what are you thinking?
So my mom wants us to go to Arizona. She's like, come out here. So I don't know. We're pondering some thoughts.
We've got a couple of ideas to maybe take it to Arizona, Miami. We just want to get someplace eventually.
Yeah.
But in places like Arizona and Miami, in summertime, we want to do shows.
Absolutely.
Like to be inside, so hot and sticky. So we've talked about that. We've got a lot to do right now. We just want to keep doing more. We like to get into more of the fundraising events, which is really better for everybody because it helps.
I loved what you did for Meals on Wheels, by the way.
Yeah.
Want to let the audience know, like, that was a huge fundraiser, and I think there's so many organizations that need awareness, and need help. There are, phone book size.
Right. I mean, we know there's a myriad of 501c that are looking for donations, extra help with volunteerism, extra money. Everybody, could use extra money. And actually what we did is Tom's high school, where he went to high school, we've kind of adopted them as one of our projects, and we've helped them raise money for their band. They had no band.
Well, Hammond High School, where I went to school, that used to be the school in Hammond. It had everything. It had not just sports, but all the artistic endeavors, band, theater, choir. Well, over the years, I don't know, I don't want to say the area has gone down because that makes it seem like it's not a good area. The demographics
Education changed too,
and
funding and
the
everything.
level of apathy increased to the point where they just did away with things like band and choir and theater. And then, a friend of mine, Teddy McClendon, went back for Alumni Day last year to the school, and he found this out. He said, he called me up and said, "Like, they don't have any band. They don't have any choir at Hammond High."
It's amazing.
And we thought, well, this
Wow.
can't be.
Yeah,
How unfair is that?
exactly.
And they told us, well, it's just a matter of money. We don't have the money anymore to fund these things. So we said, hey, you know what?
That's not a barrier.
If you need money, we'll get you
Yeah.
some money. So the first thing we did, we put our heads together and came up with a fundraiser for the Digital Innovation Program, which is kind of a unique program within Hammond High that nobody knows about. But they design all these really cool things on the computer, and they needed 3D printers in order to produce their
the images that they
their
created.
creations.
Right.
So we raised some money to buy some of those, and then from that we've since done fundraisers for the band and
Their ROT,
for the
junior
ROTC program.
ROTC.
Awesome. That is so awesome.
Right, so those kids will get to go to
So it
Washington,
helps, but
D.C.
more importantly, what it did was it applied a little pressure to the administration
Sure.
to say, hey, maybe we do need a band here. So they hired a band instructor
Nice.
and bought some instruments, and we raised some money to help buy a few more. So we haven't done it
Right.
all on our own, but just the pressure applied to the school, city, and the
And
administration.
shedding some light on the situation.
Well, that's just it. How many people know
Right,
what's going
no,
on? Like,
the
you graduated a long
community
time
didn't
ago.
know.
Your kids are grown. Like,
Mhm.
you're not going to think about what does this school unless somebody tells you.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Word of mouth is
Right.
amazing. It really
But we
makes a
both,
difference.
we both live in Hammond, so we have, I guess some selfish interest in seeing our property values increase over time, and which they really haven't. And one reason is the schools have a bad reputation. You talk to somebody about Hammond High, and you're not from Indiana, but if you talk to people in Indiana about Hammond High, they'd be like, "Oh, yuck! We're not sending my kids there." Well, it's a cool place to go to school. I mean, the kids
There's some good kids there.
There's some really
Wow.
good kids there. They're buttoned up. They're uniforms, and they're very respectful. Probably much more than when I was there in the 70s. You'd see kids walk around in Army Navy surplus jackets and combat boots and smoking reefer out in the parking lot and drinking beer. I mean, none of that goes on there now. It's probably a better school in a lot of ways, with the exception of reputation.
But what's amazing though, like you're pointing out, the kids still take pride, and that's what's amazing. Because regardless of what is being said about the school,
Mhm.
they still hold a pride to it.
They
And
take
that's
pride, and they deserve that.
Absolutely.
They do. They deserve every opportunity that the other kids have in the other Hammond schools. They should not
Absolutely.
be having.
I feel the way about Chicago. I mean, the whole nightmare is like there's so many ways to pick at that problem. I mean, it's like, where does one begin?
Right.
But I do benefits myself. I just did one for breast cancer a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
over 3160. I was helping out for Susan G. Coleman event. And what I do tell everybody is that being a comedian, and being that I became a comedian because of breast cancer, any event that's related to that, if you hire me, it's for free. I do not charge at all for those events, because that money needs to go to that family, to whoever it is, and I don't think any comedian should ever charge to do a benefit, because you're there for a reason.
Mhm.
Right.
So I do take pride in that. If ever you need me for a health event, I'm your girl.
Right.
So,
Okay, thank
but
you.
yeah, no, it's, and that's the thing too, it's like kids need to see that. Kids need to see that here you guys are doing an event and like, wow, somebody cares.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like there's actually, I happened to perform over at Laugh Factory in front of Jamie Masada,
Mhm.
which I was like, my feet never touched the ground, can I tell you? But to know that he does a children's camp for comedy, is amazing,
Okay.
because you don't see that every day.
Right.
There's always acting school,
Yes.
improv is big, but that's
Right.
such a
Mhm.
different animal.
Right.
And there's so many people that I know who tell me the kids want to do comedy. I'm just like, how do you approach it though? As an
I know,
adult,
you have to.
How do you
think
get into
about
that?
how
as
to-
a kid?
Yeah, it's
Usually
like
the kids that get
knock
into
knock
comedy are
jokes
the,
and
right, but no,
Maybe
there's
they're
kids that are
the
doing,
class clowns, or they're in trouble, so that they
they're
can
doing what we
gravitate.
did. They watch
Right.
Carol Burnett.
Yeah.
We watch Carol Burnett. They're watching, like, they're still going, oh, Eddie Murphy, let me see what he used to do. Or, they're following other people now.
Well,
So it's
just
crazy.
the training involved that you would go through for either stand-up or improv, it's so important in just building those life skills. You get out and go on a job interview. How do you conduct yourself in front of that interviewer? Because kids today are,
Internet, yeah.
I mean, they're so technology
Digital
based. They
based.
spend a lot of time with their noses buried in cell phones and
They don't talk to each other.
They don't
look
talk to
up.
each
It's
other.
called social media, and you're not even social. You're by yourself on the phone.
And to talk to adults is even sometimes even more painful.
Well, I tell you, I have no background in stand-up, number one, but I did love to write. And so when I've talked to parents who told me that their kids were into comedy, I was like, just encourage that writing. Tell them to write everything, because if you cannot portray it on paper, you're never going to be able to deliver it or hold that conversation. Right. Teach yourself a new word a day. Like, do whatever you got to do, but write. Learn how to write. That's the biggest thing that I think, is a great start of a foundation to go from, is to write it, to look at it and, take it apart. Like, no, I don't like it now that I put it on paper, or, or I could add to it, whatever. But yeah, writing you're always going to need it.
You never know where these things will take you.
Absolutely.
You may find yourself in a career in show business and in writing or doing comedy.
Sure.
Or maybe not, but it will help you, I think, in a lot of
Absolutely.
You never know where life takes you. We're a perfect example. I mean, I'm in education, and Tom was in pharmaceutical.
I was in
and we
most,
would never imagine being,
the most stiff starch shirt
producer.
industry, where you couldn't really exhibit any creativity. You had to work off of the script. If you did work off the script, then you had a chance to maybe get fired.
And having worked in healthcare 20 years, I used to love pharmaceutical guys that would come. First of all, do you know the pens that I had? Oh, jeez.
Well, they bring in all the food.
Yeah,
too,
well,
right?
the food and the incentives, but it was always, you guys always had this cool thing. It always seemed like you freezed in, you gave us all the gifts. It was like somebody's birthday, you freezed out. They'd come back, they're all tan because they went skiing with the doctors, or they were at the, the game with the doctors.
It was definitely a racket. I'm the first to say.
I am not gonna lie,
I did much better in life than I ever dreamed imaginable. I was playing golf on Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
And, these
you guys are like car salesmen.
On the company dime, right? Well, I kind of saw the end coming maybe 10 years before everybody else did. The industry sort of shot itself in the foot. You hired all these different salespeople to promote the same product. And many times you have as many reps in the waiting room as you did patients.
Yes.
So I think doctors sort of said, okay, we're not doing this anymore. And insurance companies got involved to the point where they kind of dictate what doctors can prescribe. Well, long story short, I knew it was coming to an end, but I took full advantage of it every time I could. When it did come to an end, things like company car, they take that away from you.
And you're like, no.
I think I went 15 years without knowing what the price of gasoline was.
That's amazing.
Just fill it up and drive away, and then you have to go out and buy a car and put your own gas, and you think, this is how much it costs.
It's like I have to go grocery shop, because how many dinners, have you had? What I'm saying? Like, I've had so many fantastic Christmas dinners.
Right. We'd be, drinking martinis with both hands and never.
Bring that bottle of wine back here.
Yeah. So
been down that road.
It was a racket. I don't think it's quite as blatant as it used to be. But again, it was stifling in terms of creativity. So Michelle said, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" I said, "I want to do a show. I'm going to have some fun here."
Right.
So we put it together, and
our tagline is "Fun is the only option."
Yeah, that's so true.
Right.
It needs to be, and that's the thing. I think even today, people are so caught up in media, everything that's going on. Everything is sad, everything is depressing.
Right.
People need to know that it's okay.
Oh yeah.
To laugh. It's okay to take an hour off, 2 hours off, sit back. Forget about it all.
Well, Michelle is positivity personified. I've learned a lot from her over the last couple of years, in particular, because I used to get kind of into that, political conversations, and a lot of it just wasn't positive. Just kind of take you away from.
Not for nothing, healthcare is that line of work where you almost have to be cookie cut some ways, depending on who you're dealing with.
Right. And
you really don't get to be yourself. Because you have to be careful, because you are trying to keep this person. I've been down that road, and there's been years I used to work on the phone like, "Hello, doctor, what can I help you with?" So it's like I have the phone. God, I hate people. And my girlfriend was like, clink with the coffee mug. It was like, and it was crazy. It got to the point where I was like, I was losing myself.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I would come home, I wouldn't even open my mail, because I just opened 50 pieces of mail. You know what I mean? Didn't want to answer the phone, because that's what I did all day.
Right.
So to tell somebody that I now love to be in front of a room full of people.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I know the feeling. We have so much fun. We spend, well, first of all, we're business partners, right? But we're also best friends, but we're also romantically involved. So we
So
spent
how is this
all of our
working?
time.
All working out? Like, do you guys always see eye to eye? Is there ever like any in the back? Like,
No,
I'm putting the
when-
pillow over his head tonight.
When he doesn't see eye to eye, just make him. It takes a minute sometimes, but
Yeah, we're working on patience this month.
yes,
Oh,
every
okay.
month we get a new practice, and this month it's patience.
I gotta
no,
tell
we
you,
we
it's
you know we
hard.
certainly respect each other's opinion, and if I have an idea, Michelle will say, well, do you really think that could play with this type of audience, or likewise, vice
But it
versa.
works out. It's
Yeah.
worked out.
You guys are totally a match made in heaven. And like I tell the guys, even my single friends who are comedians, it's on our end, it is super hard to have a partner that appreciates and will tolerate what you do for a
We've
living.
heard other people say that.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like,
Other
my
people
husband's
say
a
that.
saint. He's going right through the gate. Like me, on the other hand, I don't know, but he's going right in. Like,
Well, when we first started this, it was billed as Tom Bilik's Tomfoolery Fun Club because this was my job, and before long, though, Michelle got more and more involved, and Michelle's technical skills they're outstanding. Michelle designs the website, does all of our promotional videos. We work together to produce them, but from a technical aspect of it, for example, if our relationship ever went sour, it'd be bye-bye website, and I'd be back to the box of 64 Crayola crayons, writing
Poster
on
board.
a poster board. Yeah, I mean, I'd be totally screwed. But that aside, we work off of each other's strengths,
Right.
and I'm really proud of a lot of the things that we've done together over the last 2 years. And
well, I have to tell you, I read something today that totally made me think of you, and it said, a man with an imagination is never alone. And that totally fits the bill for you too. I really believe that, because you guys, I mean, to be able to sit there and come up with this and bring it to life. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff about it you absolutely are just like, "God, I hate this part of the job." But,
No, not really.
Really?
I
There's
don't know
nothing?
so far. No.
probably the
No,
only
really?
thing that I don't
Well, maybe
particularly care for,
taking
and
down
we could
curtains.
probably avoid it if we just broke down and hired some roadies. But after the show, for example, Friday night, I mean, we have so much stuff.
I can imagine.
Sound system, light systems,
Extension cords, all over the
wires.
place.
Sometimes we even bring in our own stage, and it's exhausting sometimes. By the end of the night,
That's about the only part that is a little.
it's a little distasteful,
Yeah,
but
just a little.
even that, it's not a big deal.
I have worked with DJs, Batik Entertainment, that you heard my sponsor, for a bajillion years. I was actually head of their security when we first started.
Okay.
That was before I got cancer.
Uh-huh.
And I have watched them set up and break down. I can't count how many times. I could never do it. If you ever asked me, like, hey, could you do this? I got to run real quick. Oh, no. The building would catch fire.
Oh yeah.
I would have everything plugged in the same place. Poof. It'd be over. I could not do it. I totally get you.
Well, ideally, eventually we'd like to have a venue of our own, either partner with someone or have our own space
That's
to where we
coming.
can just come
That's
in and
awesome.
flip the lights on and sound and have our show.
God, it's already
And at the end of the night,
plugged in.
we just
Right.
go home, which would be kind of fun. But for now, we travel around, and we're kind of like in search of the perfect venue.
Yes.
The never-ending pursuit. We'll get there.
House properties out there, because here in Chicago, it's like, oh, no. Like, there's no.
Actually, there's some, and we're kind of scouting out some, but we want to make sure it has enough space to hold over 150, at least probably 150 people.
Right.
And
Parking.
and parking and be in the right spot.
Sure.
Parking and liquor license and things like.
Sure.
I mean, ideally, it'd be nice to just partner with an existing venue already that has a space with a
Ideal,
stage,
absolutely.
and that would let us take it over and do whatever we want and not have to.
So
be
if anyone's
settled
out
for-
there and wants a comedy show, and they're already
check
set
out our
established,
website.
right? They're already established. Yeah, no.
TomFooleryFunClub.com.
That was the thing. Like, you have a few bars where you try to do open mics, whatever, and parking is ridiculous, or there's no transportation
Mhm.
nearby. There's never, 100%. I always joke. I'm like, this place looks great, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's near old folks' home. Who'd be chill? It's like,
hey, bring the old folks in.
yeah, right. Either that or like,
Right.
they'd be like, keep the noise down. It's crazy. And like I said, having done it at bars, trying to have the DJ stay and have people stay afterwards and mingle. Because I don't know what it is. The minute you say the show is over, but please stay for drinks, it's like right out the door.
Exactly.
I just don't.
I don't get that either.
I'm still trying to find the magic in how they keep people, because there's a couple places I've seen and everybody stays and dances and drinks
Mhm.
afterwards.
Right.
And I'm like, what are they doing? Are they pumping something in the air? Like,
right.
yeah, it never worked for me. But maybe one day. I like the idea of working in the bars. I've worked in bars for years. But it's like, my husband and I joke when we see these shows like Bar Rescue, and, you find out people are stealing, and,
right,
this
yeah.
is what I was just like, no, we're too old for this. We'd end up in jail. I was like, no, we'd lose our minds. There's no way. So I give you a lot of credit that you're looking for a venue to do something bigger, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yes.
We'd still like to move around. I don't know if Northwest Indiana in particular is set up to have maybe one spot where we do shows every week.
Have you thought about partnering with like the riverboat, like in Hammond?
We have a lot of things floating out there.
Yeah, we've talked with a lot of people. Again, I think a lot of people just don't know what we do yet.
Because I noticed that they're bringing more comedy now to the Horseshoe. Like, you guys have another boat out there, right?
Majestic
is out there. Okay.
Yeah, they are bringing more comedy. In fact, since we've started this, we've seen more and more comedy shows kind of popping up throughout Northwest Indiana, which is great. We don't look at anybody as our competition, and I don't say that in a demeaning way, but the more the better. I mean, we'd like to see more shows to kind of build the market and get people accustomed to coming out and seeing live entertainment.
Right.
And then they'll have their choice where they're going to go.
Right. And like, we have our shows are a little different. They're not just a straight up stand up show. We do a lot
you're
of
doing something
things,
different. And that's why I think that may be even better for them, because I've seen shows at the Horseshoe. I was actually sitting way up, and I was watching. I couldn't believe how these places pack just to see shows out there. It's amazing.
Right.
But no, it was great to have you guys on here. I can't believe the hour is up already. Please tell everybody about your websites and your radio show and where they can find you.
Yes. Well, our podcast is straightoutoftomfoolery.com, Straight Out of Tomfoolery, and you can find that on podbean.com.
Okay.
We invented that name.
That is
straight
really
out
cute.
of. Yeah.
That's you guys.
Yeah,
all right.
We did that. We did it first. I think we did.
And our website is www.tomfooleryfunclub.com.
That's tomfooleryfunclub.com.
Now, also, to let comedians know, if you're trying to find them to try and get booked, go to their website, send them an email.
Send us an email.
Actually, come out and see one of the shows first, so you have an idea of what caliber of comedian you need to be on that stage, number one. And I'm going to be out there April 22nd with the Tomfoolery Crew. Where are we going to be?
We'll be at our birthplace, Langle's Pizza.
All right.
That's where we did our very first show.
All right.
And we always have a great crowd there, and there's great energy in that room. So
that's where Tomfoolery was conceived.
See, so you have to come. Now you have to come, because it's the actual historical site.
It's a conception.
It'll be marked as a landmark soon.
That's right. That's right. And you never know what band they're going to have. They also sell art at these events. You never know what artist is going to be out there. I actually bought fantastic artwork out there. So come out, see what they got going on, follow them, like their pages. And what I say every week to my crowd here at IntellectualRadio.com that watch LOL with Miss Nikki, laugh till you cry or cry till you laugh. But either way, keep laughing. Until next time, we'll see you here at IntellectualRadio.com.
You're only a kiss away. I said, how long will it take, Marisa?